Hey everybody, I'm Ashley, and I am here with one of the co-founders of the Fine Design, Kara James, and I'm also joined by Keymaya. And as you guys know, July is Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So I thought it was fitting to have a conversation about how mental health affects young Black girls, because this is definitely a part of their mission. So why don't I just start, and I'll have you, Kara, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit about the Fine Design, and then we'll come to you, Keymaya.
Okay.
Thank you. So first of all, a deep bow of honor and grace for this opportunity. Anytime that I can use my voice, my swag and all of that to be able to put Black girl voices and experiences on the forefront, then I am deeply honored. Honored to you, Ashley, for this opportunity, but just honored to the universe for allowing this space for us to bring awareness to the mental health challenges and opportunities that we have for Black girls in particular. So my name is Kara James. I have the honor of serving as Executive Director of Fine Design, Families in Need of Direction. And we named it that because we understood the nucleus, the family unit surrounds the Black girl and woman. She has been the be all of the community as it relates to caretaking, as it relates to advocacy, as it relates to movements. Black women has often been on the forefront, even if it was behind the scenes. A lot of what they did was in front of the scenes, and so we get the opportunity day to day as not only purposeful work, but a job to be able to provide a safe space, to provide mental wellness, to provide community specifically for Black girls and other girls of color. We're just delighted to be able to be the Black Girl Joy incubator. So when you talk about Fine, we are bringing joy to Black girls. It took me a long time, as I said in our previous interview, Ashley, to even know what joy was, right? And so what the opportunity we get to create is for Black girls to have joy in the midst of their struggle, because true joy, that's what it is. And so we teach girls through sisterhood circles in which we bring them together and heal collectively, to know that they're not alone in some of their struggles. So they're able to share those experiences with their peers and hear their peers' experiences. So it's peer support. We do that through mental health therapy sessions. So we're really intentional about targeting and partnering with Black wellness and mental health organizations. So not only are they getting the services and support, that they're getting it from someone who has the lens of being a Black woman or understand the Black woman's struggle. So that's the added component. We do that through professional development and awareness. So we go into the community and train educators, school systems, juvenile systems, and community systems on the experiences of Black girl, because at the end of the day, we want collective healing. And oftentimes we cannot do that if we're unaware of not only of others' experiences, but also our own experience, that we're tapping into a lot of our inner child challenges when we are in these partnerships and when we're in these schools and juvenile courts. So we bring awareness and opportunity to the community. And that's a little bit about what we do here at Fine Design.
Perfect. And Keymaya, why don't you tell us about your partnership with the Fine Design?
Okay, my name is Keymaya Butler, and I am a board member of the Fine Design. I'm also a youth alumni, so they came to my high school my freshman year. Well, actually, I was in high school, but they came to Napier Community Center and started doing weekly sessions. And from that point on, I just kept on coming every week. I felt like it was real beneficial to me at first. Like I was kind of nervous, but they allowed me to have the safe space to come and talk every week when I felt like I couldn't talk to no one else. So basically, fast forward now, I'm on the board, just sharing my experiences with the kids, letting the kids know that you're in the right space. When I was their age, this is what I needed. So I just want to make sure I use my voice to let them know that this would be the right move for them to get into.
Love it. Love it. Let's dive right on in, ladies. So what are some of the challenges that young Black girls face from a mental health standpoint that you're seeing?
And I would love if Keymaya could jump on that question first, because she's the closest thing to a Black girl, even though I always will be a girl at heart. I think Keymaya, I would love if you would start off, because you are still, you know, considered in that space.
I feel like one of the challenges that we face really not being heard. I know me and others, like other people that I'm around, we feel like we're not heard. We feel like we don't have no one to confide into, whether it's friends, whether it's family, mentors. It's kind of hard for us to open up based on the traumas that we face. And that's a struggle for me. So I feel like that's a struggle for a lot of people that I run into. I feel like being young Black girls, sometimes we stereotype as, you know, violent, messy, or this and that. But it really comes from our environment and what we are around, what we grew up around. Like for me, I've noticed everything starts in the home for us being young Black girls.
Yeah. What are
And
some things you see, Kara?
yeah, I mean, Keymaya really just hit on it. Number one, just really understanding the concept of not feeling safe. And when you don't feel safe, how you respond to that is often matching that energy. So I don't feel safe. So what I can do is shut down and respond in unsafe ways. And so what we've seen a lot of is girls that have went through trauma, whatever that looks like, right? Because oftentimes we go to the extreme of trauma, of it looking a certain type of way, but anything that takes you away from who you really are, that you have to create a personality and characteristics based on the feeling of not being safe or not feeling heard, and that becomes normalized, that is trauma, right? And so we see a lot, and as Keymaya already mentioned, that it starts young. And I would go even further to say it starts in the womb. We're starting to see biology, epigenetics say that trauma starts in your mother's womb. I don't want to get spiritual, but something just came to mind. I knew you before your mother's womb, right? And so I hear that in a way that says that you came from this place of goddesses and truth and honor and love and peace, and then you becoming part of this environment in womb. Now epigenetics says that you feel your grandmother's trauma, right? In the womb, your cells are replicated based on some of that trauma. What we went through as a collective, as a culture, we went through a collective trauma in this country. And so we are still carrying that even before we are birthed into the world. So trauma starts in the womb. And then, as Keymaya touched on, in family dynamics and school dynamics, all of that has impacted us. So the question is, what do we see? We see a response to trauma, right? We see in our organization a high level of girls who have been sexually assaulted, who has been molested. I mean, we just got to say what it is, who have been violated in several different ways. And it's so sad because when we look into other spaces where PTSD has been experienced, you have a sense of compassion for these people. When we think of PTSD, we go straight to Army vets and war vets, and that's rightfully so, right? But we don't think about when you are violated as a child, you have experienced PTSD. And instead of providing Black girls, because we can go back to the history of this country, at one time it wasn't it was a law it wasn't a law that existed for Black women, that if you are violated is wrong and there's consequences. There was no consequences to violating Black women. And we're still starting to see that here today, where there's no consequences. So instead of giving young girls oftentimes support and care based on their PTSD, we push them into school, the juvenile court system. We push them, it's called the abuse to prison pipeline. We push them out of school instead of looking at them from the lens of compassion and respect. So oftentimes they need safe spaces. They need understanding that I did not cause this to happen to me, right? They need to understand that they are not by themselves. They need to understand how they see themselves, right? Because a lot of violations have happened, they don't even feel valued and worth. So one of the things that we offer is a reminder of who they are before the trauma,
Yeah.
right? So we see
Kara,
that.
let's go into the programs and services.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, what are some of the programs and services that the Fine Design offers to address these mental health issues?
Well, thank you for asking because I was about to go down that route. So yeah, so one of our main our go-to premier service is our Fly Girl program. And Fly Girl stands for Forever Loving Yourself. And so I just want to add this in. You may notice, Ashley, everything about our organization is culturally competent. So we went back to the in living days where J-Lo would be up in the video and in your face dancing as a fly girl. So we wanted to infuse culture in the organization. So everything is intentional about what we do. So one of the things is the Fly Girl program. And the Fly Girl is a transformative program that uses sisterhood circles, as I spoke about before, where we can do peer learning and peer support along girls. They are their biggest teacher, right? We can come in as the adults, as the elders, and pour wisdom into them and pour honor and remind them of who they are. But the best teachers is girls that are going through the same exact thing. So that is the first component of the Fly Girl program. Is number one, is sisterhood healing circles. We also offer through Fly Girl program one-on-one therapy sessions. So we introduce them at a young age to therapy, not from a place of something is wrong from you, to you from the place of how can I get individual support? I have this collective support with my peers, but how can I get individual one-on-one? It's just some things you still ain't gonna talk about in front of other folks, right? And so we wanted to make sure that they had an individual space. And to be honest, they asked for this space. So we was like, we need to do that for them. And then the third component of our Fly Girl program is professional development to educators and communities. So we saw opportunity. Oftentimes when people came to us for our services, it was from a place of they're broken and they need fixing. And we had a problem with that, right? We understand that you co-create spaces. So yes, we do have to address some of the ways that they respond to their trauma, but we also got to address some ways that you as an adult respond to yours. And oftentimes that was from implicit biases, that was from negative perceptions of Black girls, looking at them as older. So you didn't even see that they needed compassion because oftentimes you didn't have the compassion as an inner child. So that's one of the programs that we have, and we've seen huge mental health outcomes. We seen decrease in anxiety. We've seen an increase in community belonging and understanding who they are. We've seen an increase in overall mental health and happiness and satisfaction with life as it stands. And we're still evolving that program. And so that's one. We also have our Bossy, which is right now paused, but we're excited to get back into that program. So now that we've but now that we've addressed some of the mental health opportunities that through our Fly Girl program, we want to use this knowledge and go into how you can create wealth for your family at a young age, right? How can you create wealth? How can you get to understand what money and that you deserve to be wealthy, and not just with money, but just overall in your life? So we do that through an entrepreneurship program called I'm Bossy, right? I know you heard of that with Khalees. And so we really wanted to understand what them to take their gifts that they have and allow their gifts to make room for them through entrepreneurship, through leadership development, and then they actually launch their own business by the end of the program. And so that's two of our main programs that we offer at Fine Design.
And something you said kind of led me to the next question. Cultural beliefs in the community of Black women. How do you think that affects mental health with these young Black girls?
Yeah, I mean, it's so many beliefs. I mean, that's such a, I mean, we could go on and on by that question alone. But cultural belief, it affects it greatly. Number one, there's often seen as a weakness to ask just for help. We've seen that this one of the biggest mental health struggles in our communities and our sessions is we think it's weak to ask for help. And so just not understanding that health is a strength. I mean, I'm sorry, asking for help is a strength, um, and that it's okay to ask for that type of help. We really encourage that, put that as a badge of honor, and try to dismantle that understanding that help is weak and that is actually a strength. To what I've already talked about, the adultification of Black girls, which means there's so many studies out there that talks about how Black girls are adultified. So because they are looked at as older, then they are looked at as needing less support, less nurturing, less love. And that's problematic. I mean, if you think of any relationship where you're going in with that expectation, it is doomed to fail. And so, one of the cultural norms, or one of the things that we struggle with as a community and as a culture, is our implicit biases and our negative perceptions. One of the things too that come up is not knowing who we are as a culture. We have to understand, as I stated, that we had a collective um, um, a collective hardship, a collective breakdown, a collective trauma that we went through as people, as Black people. And we did so without any type of collective healing. And so with that being said, it shows you how resilient we are, how we've been able to navigate despite of that collective trauma. But it also comes with hardships, as you know, settling for the bare minimum and sometimes, right, not having resources, not having the things that we need or we think that we don't need to be successful. And a lot of that is just oppression and systems that were built for us to be that way. But it's also our internal systems that we don't believe that we're worthy of having the things that we desire, whether that's subconscious or unconscious. We don't have that imposter syndrome, that I don't think I'm worthy of this space. And that can be seen as cultural norms in little girls, them not feeling like they belong, and representation. You know, a lot of the schools that we go into, a lot of the places that we go, it does not represent Black girls in a lot of ways. So just not having representation can make you feel like I don't belong here. So really addressing those cultural biases and perceptions is key.
What do you think, Keymaya? Have you noticed anything?
Um, Not really, honestly. Not really. I haven't really noticed anything other than just basically my personal experiences of just being the culture and being Black, as well as like me, I'm a lesbian. So in that kind of route, taking that kind of route can also be an issue for me and others as well.
Got it. And I would love to talk about some of the success stories that you have seen with some of the girls when it comes to their mental health, you know, and they came in, it was right here. And after you guys have just laid your hands on them, it has just changed for the better.
Yeah. Well, I brought a success story with us, right? Keymaya. I'm gonna let her tell her story, and I'm gonna send her positive light and energy right now because she has a story like no other. And I would love to tell that. A lot of it is in her new song that she just released called Inner Child. But I think it gives an explicit, and she's an adult now, so she has, if she, you know, she can share what she wants to share. But she's a perfect example, and we've talked about this before, so I know I have permission. Is that she came in very hesitant of the program. Matter of fact, a staff member at the community center kind of made them come. It was like, if you want to be here, play basketball, you need to go to this program, right?
Right.
And you know, I could take that in another direction to answer your question before, because some people just don't know they need help, right? How can I ask for it if I don't know I need it? I have normalized me not feeling worthy. I have normalized me having this attitude or whatever it is. I've normalized this behavior, I'll say, as who I am, when it's really a response to who they think they're not. And so we walked in, and they were made to come, a group of them. And I mean, they were side-eyeing us as we walked in. We were side-eyeing them, like, don't let these heels fool y'all. Like, you know, like, so we came in, like, we understood that their reaction to us wasn't personal. They had been let down, they had been violated, they had been, you know, different violation the group had. I mean, they had been through everything everything that you can imagine. We were in Napier. If you understand that is one of the probably one of the most violent communities here in Nashville in so many different ways because of the lack of resources, because of the trauma in that neighborhood. So we knew what we were up against when we walked in. A lot of people had started programming at that community center and left as soon as things got hard. They was out. We were told like they came once and they were never seen again. A lot of times for photo ops and to show or to try to say that they were doing something but really wasn't doing nothing. It was that type of vibe, and so it was an expectation when we came in that we would leave them. And so because of that, we're not giving you our heart. We're here because we're being made to be here. And I'm ready to get this over with. So it was a whole energy when we came in that we had to combat. And we were up for the challenge because we saw those girls for who they were, not for who they were having to show up to be because of their experiences. And Keymaya wasn't any different. She came in, she had, and she'll talk about this, and this is very much in her song, had very big challenges with her family. She did not want to be there. That beautiful smile we see now, she wasn't doing all of that, right? And you know, she was very hesitant, and I would let her just jump in and say what she's been through, so then we could talk about the other side of what that looked like.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, so when I first got into Fine Designs program, I'm just a freshman in high school, and obviously, like I'm going through a lot of changes in personal life. This is when I feel like, you know, my sexuality started to come to light and stuff, dealing with relationships, dealing with being accepted at home when I decided to make that decision on my preference when it came to my sexuality. I had very bad anxiety. Like it was a lot of stuff going on with me. So when I went to the program, I just basically kept on going. Like we did a lot of workshops, we did a lot of icebreakers that allowed me to express myself in ways that I couldn't at home. So I was in it for a while, but I moved to Clarksville, Tennessee, and I was kind of upset because, you know, up there, you know, Fine was based in Nashville. So I was scared that I wasn't gonna have that. But Miss Kara and Fine allowed me the space to still have a conversation, still call when I needed to, when I needed help. From 9th to 11th grade, I had real bad anxiety. I feel like I was kind of a victim of my environment. And once Miss Kara had told me, like, this is all mental, like, this is all a mental thing, I started to work on myself and figure out why I was feeling like that. So it got better. I went through a lot of violence, like abuse, sexual assault that I speak about in Inner Child. Inner Child is basically a song with me just ready to face everything that I've been through. Like whether it's good, whether it's bad, like go deep inside to really just see why I am how I am. And I've also just been on my spiritual journey. So Inner Child, I spoke on the sexual assault that I encountered as I was a child. Um, Same sex female went through it. It's a lot of people that think that that's not possible, but it is. Um, my mom's husband, you know, me and my little sisters, we went through sexual assault with him. And unfortunately, like still to this day, you know, we still have to, you know, be around, not necessarily be around them, but we still got to witness. You know, my mom still communicating with this guy, still with this guy, despite the fact that we went through what we went through. So for a long time, it kind of messed with my mental. And at this point, I wanted to make a change and be a voice. Last year, I got shot in both of my legs. Last year, being an innocent bystander, doing what I love to do. I'm a music artist, music creative, entrepreneur. I own a music studio. So I'm out here doing activities that I like to do and dealing with artists that put me in a messed up situation. Unfortunately, I suffered 2 gunshot wounds to the leg. And from that point on, I knew that my mission in this life was bigger. I'm supposed to be here telling my story in my artistic ways. That's a safe space for me as well as the Fine Design program. I feel like if I didn't go through the program, if I didn't get the mentoring and felt like I had that space, I wouldn't be who I am today. Like the Fine Design played a huge part in who I am today. At first, I really couldn't talk. Now I'm out. I'm going inside of schools, talking to kids from 5 to 8, 6 to 8th graders, just telling my story and just being me and being authentic while using my music at the same time. So basically what I'm doing now is just trying to show other people that whether, you play sports, not everybody going to do music like me, which I understand, but everyone has something that they can pour into um to be a safe space for them. So I feel like I've overcame a lot. I feel like I understand life more, other people's reactions. Like I used to get upset at my mom when I felt like she wasn't listening to me or hearing me out. But whole time, my mom, she needs to heal too. And that's what I spoke about in Inner Child, just basically breaking generational curses. Like I made the song basically not to, tear down my mom, but to tell my story, and I want her to know that I'm not tearing you down. I understand because you only teaching us what you've been taught.
Yeah.
So it's like at first for a long time, my mom was like my biggest trigger. Like everything that she would do would just highly affect me until I realized that I don't know what my mom went through when she was a child. I don't know if she went through some of the same things. I don't know what my grandma did. Like, what if she didn't feel, heard? And I feel like that's a real thing. So once I learned to not take other people's reactions personal, because everybody going through something. She honestly don't want to face it, and I don't know why she don't want to face it, but I know that it don't have anything to do with me. So inner child, I got a lot of courage out. I spoke on things that I have never spoke on. Um, and it honestly took the course for something positive, because now that I dropped that song and released that song, I have people coming to me wanting to speak out about their story. So that's when I knew that I have an impact. I can be a voice. Um, I was scared to talk in front of the audience. I was scared to talk about things like this in this kind of setting, but now I'm feeling more confident than ever because it's me, it's my true self. Not really worried about nobody judging me because it's my story. I feel like everyone has one. I'm thankful to be a survivor. The Fine Design helped me during that time. I didn't know if I was going or I was staying, but they helped me understand why you have a purpose here. Everything happens for a reason. So that's where I stand now. And I'm excited that I can, use my songs and my voice to really just be an impact. That's what I want to be. I figured out a long time ago that maybe I don't want to, be, like a big, I would say artist in the music industry, because that's another thing that I face, being a female in the male populated industry. Um, it took me a long time, and I'm just now realizing as walking in my purpose that I just want to be an impact. I feel like being an impact is, bigger than all the other things that's going on right now. And me seeing that I'm an impact, it honestly, it honestly makes me happy. But the Fine Design, I've been in this program for years, and Miss Kara, she's watching me grow, and I'm excited to have someone to be able to watch me grow. They never judged us when we was telling our stories, and one thing that I always remember being in those safe spaces, I could be sharing my story, and then the person next to me could be going through the same thing. And that's the thing that made us comfortable in the space because, like I said, I was scared to speak out about sexual assault, and then come to find out somebody next to me went through the same thing. So now I'm comfortable with talking about it because I'm knowing I'm not the only one. So I feel like my story is a good success story, and I'm glad to represent the Fine Design on my behalf. Miss Kara, she makes sure that I get my space to tell my story. Like even till this day, she throws me out there, gets me ready for things like this that I'm doing a part of the program and outside of the program. And I feel like I've changed personally, professionally, in all kind of ways. So yeah.
And thank you for sharing that.
Ashley, if you don't mind, I just want to share, and whether we go over time, we do, but that's right there, a fly girl, right? And I wanted to hold space for that because when you don't understand the journey, you can't even appreciate what she just did, right? That this young lady did not have a voice. She did not trust anybody. She did not see that she was purposeful, that she had a gift, She didn't know that about her because of the things that she was dealing with. We see 13, 14-year-old girls dealing with stuff that grown women have never had to deal with outside of our community and our culture. So to have the weight on their shoulders the way that our girls did, and to have to come in a space of strangers that they don't know what our motives are, what our intentions are, and to be able to break down and cry for the first time, to be felt understood. I remember we were trying to partner with other organizations that didn't look like us, and they were, why they always crying? They didn't even realize that in our culture and in this space, that's a sign of strength. That is not, that is like, we're not trying to make you cry, but when you feel free, when you feel safe, sometimes that just happens. And so we saw breakthroughs as a result of just providing relatability, a safe space to pour into them and feed the person that we knew that they were, their authentic self. So I had to hold space for her to tell her story, because 10 years ago, she wouldn't have done that. 10 years ago, she wouldn't have saw her value and her worth. And now I would sit here and let her talk for hours and be unapologetically about it, because it shows what support, what community, what relatability, what mental health resources, what love can do to a person. It can bring out what was already there. And so she is a testimony, and she just getting started. Like, what I tell her all the time, you're just getting started. Every day you're just getting started. And I just want the community, the young people and older, because again, women still is dealing with their inner child. You know, she's representative of the child that's in a lot of Black women that have not been nurtured, that haven't been seen, that haven't been loved. And so we just want to remind them that they are worthy. Mental health support is not a weak thing. Therapy is not a weak thing, whatever that looks like to you. And you are valuable enough to have people around you that love you, that support you, that will nurture you. And that's what the Fine Design is and will continue to be. And so shout out Keymaya for having the courage, the honor, the love, the understanding of self, the know thyself, to be able to not only share your story, but help so many. She's y'all really don't realize what this girl have already done, talking to hundreds of kids, sharing their story. And did you say when you got shot, 2023? Let's be clear, this was a year ago. And the organization rallied behind her as Black women do. The tribe, the board, the staff, other girls, we made sure that she had juices, and we juiced her up and healed her when the doctor said that it may take a while. We was like, absolutely not. We gonna give her what the earth allows us to give her. And she healed to the point that it was so fast, we was blown away. And so I want to say that too, because oftentimes in these spaces, we got to package it up in whiteness and say, this is what we do. Some stuff you won't capture what we do, right? Because it's some things that we can't put into words. We just know what to do because we in proximity of our community. We understand as Black women sometimes what Black women need. So I can't come in here and package it all up in a cute little package. It's stories that I can tell you that may not be captured in quantitative data, but it can be captured in storytelling. And I wanted to make sure that we honored her story in its fullness and its richness, because if you didn't see the journey, you wouldn't understand why it was so important for her to show up and be so comfortable and confident in sharing her story. So I wanted to make sure we said that.
Yeah, and Kara, let's end by you telling everybody, how can they get involved with the Fine Design and everything that you guys have going on? How can they support?
Yeah. Well, first, I'll say this: indirectly, work on your inner child. Let's start there, right? And we can do that with support you, because we can do that and help support you through that. Because one thing I can say, to fully show up for this work is not easy. You got to know that you need this work. You not got to know the value of this work, right? And so work on your inner child is an indirect way that you can support Fine, but directly, absolutely. It costs $20,000 for every girl to go fully through our program. That is to get the peer support. That is to get the individual support. That is to help cultivate safety around them by empowering their environments that they're in, right? To help build relationships and bonds between them, their families, and their school systems and their community systems. So it costs it's not cheap. It is a program. We are a business. So we understand that everybody can't write a $20,000 check, and if you can, write the check, right? Because again, the impact of not servicing Black women impacts us all from a place of until we're all free, none of us is free, number one, right? Just it, I have a whole list of things of when Black women are not supported because of who they are as caretakers, as movement shakers, that it impacts us all. And so so I understand everybody cannot write a $20,000 check. Give what you can. That may be financially, that may be your skill sets. I mean, I don't want to say insulted, but I kind of am. When we have people that don't look like us say to me, well, I don't really know how I can relate to a Black girl. I'm just not one. And I'm like, does that show up in your other giving when you're giving to different, you know, whether it's homeless, whether it's animal, whatever the case may be? Are you saying that to yourself when you do that? There is nothing that you cannot contribute to this cause, whether it's your skill sets, whether it's your time, whether it's your resources, whether it's your prayers, you sending light. Again, we want resources, but when we are not all free, when we are not all thriving, that impacts us all. So you can go to www.thefinedesign.org, our website. You can give monetarily, you can give of your time, you can give of your skill sets. We have board positions opening as we speak. If you want to serve on a board, we really have initiatives to push Black women and other people of color to serve on boards, because we understand that there's a lack of our representation on boards. Again, volunteering, and we do need to make sure that we are investing monetarily in these girls. And so I want to make sure that if you can't do $20,000, do $10, do $20. We ask people to commit a year and get a percentage of your earnings every month for a year to this cause, so we can make sure as a community we are thriving.
Love it. Well, I thank both of you for your time today. Thank you for talking about your mission and how we can get involved. And you heard Kara, guys. This is a great organization. I've worked with them for years, so I know they're not just doing this. I actually see the work in real life. So continue your team. You guys are doing great things. And thank you again, Keymaya, for sharing your story. We appreciate your time too.
Thank you so much, Ashley, for the opportunity.
All right.